On today's episode of Anime Afterthought Fire Force Season 2 Episode 10, The Woman in Black. You gotta be shitting me. The Amaterasu is a girl? Seriously, I did not see that coming. Now, last we left off, Team Chinese Peninsula was ripped asunder, unfortunately falling victim to the demon Tempe's ambush. Lieutenant Pan, Victor, and Arthur investigate the tabernacle, while the others fend off this religious zealot and his followers. And even though Ogun's flaming ink ability is miraculous, it's still not a miracle. And unfortunately, they are not up to snuff when it comes to taking on a demon. If only Shinra had some of that sweet, sweet evangelist grace. Well, it turns out there's a source closer than he realizes. This mysterious woman in black, the savior of the animals that taught them how to speak and came through a spatial rift, her disembodied voice is heard echoing in Shinra's mind. Protect the forest. Well, to do so, I'm gonna need you to ante up. But with very little grace to spare, she can only give Shinra 1 second. What can you do with 1 second? Plenty. And this is where we pick up today's episode. This little conversation with the woman in black that's taking place in basically a different dimension. I always wondered what is happening to the character on the outside. He's basically just fucking standing there and the others have to take a brunt of Tempe's attacks. Basically, Ogun is pulling double duty. Now, while he's keeping Tempe on the defensive, he's actually not doing a lot of damage. It really does seem it's all up to Shinra. And at this point, she's the only one he can turn to. Although she does have the same presence of the evangelist, he gets a much more pleasant feeling. So, when in doubt, Adala Link. Now, by coincidence or design, it just so happens that Shinra's Adala Link ability allows him to travel faster than the speed of light, which basically reverts time. So anything when it comes to temporal manipulation, when you only have 1 second on the clock, is gonna be a huge benefit. And I have to say, I simply love the design of this Adala Link powered character. I mean, him decked out in this whitish blue aura, completely just entranced. All you see is kind of like a whitish silhouette with red eyes. It really stands out. But we don't have enough time to admire his new transformation. It's time to do work. With Shinra fully engaged, it seems that the world is at a standstill, allowing Shinra to hit a series of devastating blows that gets Tempe a safe distance away from the forest. Remember, his main goal is to protect it. That's why the woman in black allowed him to borrow her grace in the first place. Now, presume that the following scene is due to Shinra currently in an Adala Link. As he is kicking the quite literal shit out of Tempe, his image seems to transform before Shinra's very eyes. Yes, he's human, and this is where we get Tempe's past. Now, Tempe is a survivor of the Great Cataclysm. He makes it very, very clear that not only did he lose his wealth, his standing, but also his women, his wife and daughter. It was very weird how he put it though. It was almost like an afterthought. And when you actually see this character go through his monologue where he's just completely angry at the world, it's almost like he saw his wife and daughter as possessions. Like, the Great Cataclysm, I fucking hate you. You stole everything from me, my women, my money, my standing. Like, it's just this very weird thing. Like, he kind of seems like a dick to begin with. I'm not saying he deserved it, but dude's coming off very douchious, and even Shinra's like, well, this guy really can't be saved. But we do see the moment at which the evangelist enters the earth, the realm, through the spatial rift. Tempe has wandered this errant wasteland of flame to come across the spatial rift, but unfortunately it's like a barrier. He assumes that maybe humans can't enter this realm of supposed the divine, as he sees this being decked in white who looks, in comparison, yes, Tempe is kind of hunched over on the ground, but when they zoom up her, she looks like fucking 19 feet tall. Like, it's ridiculous. But he automatically assumes, or is it a mistake, assumes that this being is in fact God. Now, I'm not one to really argue this fact right now. The God or a God, who really knows? But when this entity opens its mouth, you see like galaxies and maybe star systems kind of in there, and she proceeds to spit out an infernal insect, which is actually how Tempe, I assume, became the first demon. Like, we know that's how he became a demon, but is he the first? I'm assuming. But yeah, so that whole interaction was very fucking weird. But like I said, Shinra has marked Tempe for disposal, sending him back to the Great Flame with one last kick. The explosion is devastating. Everyone is shocked at this thing. It's like a giant fucking shockwave, but the demon is dead and the forest is presumably saved, at least for now. Now, on his way returning back to the oasis, he gets another conversation with the woman in black. And this is where we get some more information on this woman. She is actually human. She's human. In fact, whatever she is now, it's because of the evangelist. See, the evangelist turned her into, or gave her the Adala burst. Like, she was actually brought to this world with the evangelist. Like, it's very weird to see this mysterious figure told through the eyes and perspective of someone who is actually there. This woman in black goes on to say, like, the evangelist has very wicked desires. I mean, I just came here, I wanted to help the animals, so I took on on, you know, the tabernacle. And yeah, as far as the evangelist goes, like she begins to disseminate like, oh, by the way, every single religion, do you think it's a coincidence that they all have demons and heaven and hell and all this shit? No matter where you live or what language you speak, they all kind of overlap in some areas. Do you think that's by coincidence or design? And she kind of leads us to believe that the evangelist has been spreading these ideals for centuries, millennia. Like she's been at work for a long fucking time. So with Shinra finally returning to the tabernacle and seeing that everyone's okay, it's his turn to take a little tour of the inside, and he comes to the inner chamber where this woman in black now resides. Now she seems to be unconscious, incapacitated, or was that the last of her grace and now she's no more, as we see her kind of wither away. Like I'm not 100% sure the imagery in this nether realm or whatever where he actually has the Adala link sometimes is confusing, but he assumes right now she has gone back to sleep because she is the power for this tabernacle. Like this is what is powering this. She had the Adala burst, this unsullied flame, so now she powers the Amaterasu to make the oasis. And this is the most interesting part. If there is a human sacrifice powering this one, what about Japan's Amaterasu? And instantly Shinra is hit with images of the first pillar, the one that has, you know, the image of Iris, the one that actually forced him into the Berserker Adala link mode. Like it's safe to say that if there's a human being powering this one, there needs to be one powering the Amaterasu in Japan, and it's most likely the first pillar. And here's where we get some great continuity. Remember the whole Vulcan and Dr. Giovanni thing where he was after the USB drive that hold the, like, you know, all the information on the Amaterasu. Now Shinra is thinking back to that, saying maybe that had some more information on it. But unfortunately right now it's in the hands of Giovanni, Whiteclads, and aka the evangelist. I mean, for whatever we've learned in this little arc, there's just so many more questions now to answer. Now, here is an image I want to point out, and it probably won't align great with this because I just put these on chronological and shift them. Now, there's actually an image of our current generation of 8 pillars. Like we know back then there must have been 8 pillars due to the 8 arrows, 8 keys that created the first great cataclysm, and that's why the evangelist is collecting the next set of 8 pillars, and we actually see more than just what we know. I mean, there's obviously the first pillar flying, then we have Shinra, Sho, Homiya, and then we have Inca. But if you look very close, while the black flames are not spouting up, there is all the way to the left, there is another character, and then right between, I believe it's Sho and Shinra, there's another little tiny character. So we do have maybe 2, is it foreshadowing 2 more pillars coming to be? Are they already in creation? Now we have to go fucking find them? Like I'm not 100% sure. I thought the 5th Inca just awoke. Do they have to awake in order? Like I'm getting excited because that image says a lot. I mean, we do know eventually we're gonna have 8 pillars. We're gonna need 8 pillars, or at least the evangelist is gonna need 8 pillars. So we don't need fucking shit. We don't want anything to come close to the Great Cataclysm. But enough about that. It's unfortunately time to say our farewells. The Chinese Peninsula arc is over, so he's got to say goodbye. And it really does seem like Shinra and Scoop made a very good connection. He's kind of depressed. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. He's kind of depressed. Like, you sure you don't want to stay a little bit longer? He goes, no, man. Hero's got a lot of work to do. Outing out this little farewell at sunrise, Scoop reaffirms his determination. You know what? You're right. I'll do my best to improve, but if I ever need help, I'll call you, because it's not a sign of weakness. Like, that's a hero's duty. That's a hero's job, is to help others. So if you need help, you know, come at me. Which also leads it open, like, are we ever gonna return to the Chinese Peninsula? Are we ever gonna see Scoop or the Crow again? Like, I'm excited. But yeah, it's time to leave, and we do know the only way in, the only way out, or at least where we're going, once again goes through the intoxicating flumes of poisonous gas that gets everyone ridiculously high except Victor, who's once again is wearing his mask. God, those faces. Whoever animated those faces, A+. But like I said, there's a lot to contemplate from this episode as we see Shinra do, as he seems to be primarily focused on the first pillar and whether or not she was the one sacrificed to the Amaterasu. And, you know, Victor brings up a good point. We saw in last week's episode, they go over the quote-unquote what he called the prologue, as the Earth is pissed and decides to engulf itself in flames, or at least that's what we're led to believe, until one day Raffles the First sets out on a journey to find a source of light, this pure light, the unsullied flame, aka the Adala burst, which is the basis of Amaterasu, or at least that's what the Holy Soul Temple is based a religion on, meaning if it is not true, they are lying. So the fundamental believing of a majority of Japan's infrastructure, this whole religion, the Holy Soul Temple, and in turn Hajime Industries, as we look, may be sitting on a pile of fucking lies. And yeah, that's a lot to take in. That really is. What else are they hiding? What else do they know that we absolutely need? Like, do they have vital information? Like, we know Hajime Industries has been suspicious since their first introduction. Like, that's the one we were told by Captain Obi that, hey, you need to watch out for. There's too many overlapping things to be pure coincidence. So Holy Soul Temple is now on that same list, and they're very close together. So like, shit's up with that. So eventually we're gonna have to figure out what is going on with them. Not to mention, what's up with Victor? The preview for next week's episode is The Dark Hero, and it's about Victor. We get a very gritty, almost noir, neon, future cyberpunk type looking red light district-esque vision of wherever the hell Victor is currently at. Joker is questioning his own form of justice. Like, is this what you really want, Victor? Like, are we getting a backstory for Victor? I'm gonna be honest, he's a pretty interesting character. I mean, we do know that he is working with Joker. Joker is a super interesting character. Like, there's gotta be a backstory. So maybe, are we gonna get some more information on this dude? Like, what's his real goal? What's he really trying to do? Why is he paired up with Joker? Like, what's going on with him? Is he just using the Ith? Like, whose side is he really on? I just don't know. Hopefully we get more questions next week. Like I said, overall, today's episode was amazing. Badass. It's always badass. This series has some of the most vibrant colors I have ever seen. I'm so glad they're not watered down like most anime. When it comes to the first initial broadcast, like, everything looks amazing. We're getting more and more information. It's nice to see that there's more information about the woman in black. I do feel kind of sorry for her sacrificing herself to power the Oasis, but it also led us to the information like, hey, if there's one in the tabernacle, there must be one in the Amaterasu, which may be the first pillar. Not to mention all the connections between, the White Clads, the Evangelists, the Holy Soul Temple, Hajime Industries. Like, there is so much going on. We still need to unravel. So with all that being said, and you know what? It really does look like a banger next week. I honestly cannot wait for future episodes.